What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Gridiron podcast. We missed you guys last week. There was some technical difficulties when editing and publishing the podcast last week. It ended up completely deleting the file. So, unfortunately, we were unable to have an episode last week. And my coworker was going to be on this week, but unfortunately, just scheduling wise, was unable to do it. But I think potentially we'll have him on next week. He really wanted to hang in and talk to Mike.
Hey, it's good
But
to
yeah,
be
let's get
back, Nick.
straight.
It's good to be back. I'm glad to be back. It's been a
Yes,
minute
sir.
since I've seen you. It's good. I want to talk football. I was on winter break and I'm so glad to be back. I wish I was here on a more of a positive note. That being said, we're still here talking football.
Yeah, so let's get straight into it. All right, so going back to week 17, I know we missed a lot with the episode not happening last week, but let's talk about what slowly made me lose my mind on Christmas. The Vikings beating the Lions 23 to 10. Turnovers is a big one. We committed, I believe, 7 turnovers. And this offensive line sucks. They suck. I don't know how Panay Sewell is ranked number 1 offensive tackle in the league, which makes no sense. He allowed plenty of sacks. He did not look like himself this year. And it showed in this game. Obviously, he went down with an injury for a little bit, but the turnovers really killed us. We couldn't get the run game going, and our defense was very lackluster. It was just horrible. No pressure on the quarterback, and they really couldn't do much at all in that game.
Yeah, I was very surprised because it was a game that they had to have, and it almost seemed like they couldn't lose that game. And yet they did. And as you said, the turnovers were pretty much it, the nail in the coffin. When you don't have the football, especially against the Minnesota Vikings, who don't really have a passing attack, they're going to run it down your throat, and that they did. So for the Lions, I was very surprised by that because that ended their season, ended their playoff chances at all. Going forward, we did see that they fired their offensive coordinator. That was a must. What
Yep.
changes do you think that the Lions need to make to improve going into next season?
I'll go from top to bottom. I will say that Brad Holmes has to have a different attitude in terms of in season moves. The trade deadline, you knew what you needed and you didn't do anything about it. The offseason, re signing Marcus Davenport, who barely even played. There was a press conference a couple days ago for Brad Holmes saying that, oh, we're going to have the same attitude as for finding edge rushers than we did this past year. What? Because you're one of the only teams to have a 14 and a half sack and an 11 and a half sack guy? But you need someone, if Hutch is not on the field and Al Qadim Muhammad's not on the field, you need someone that's actually going to have a chance at pass rushing and not getting injured 24/7 like Marcus Davenport or Josh Pascal.
Yeah, when you don't have a pass rush, it causes an absolute disaster for your secondary, and that we did see. Their corners were exposed. I was just very surprised as to the Lions going 9-8 this season. It just didn't seem right. And the worst part about it, I think you might have a better answer for this, is do you think that the Super Bowl time, the window has closed for them? Because it seems like they need a lot of pieces in order to get back to where they were last season. And obviously, a lot of that is the coordinators being gone. Do you think the window's closed?
See, I actually said this in the recording that it was actually deleted, unfortunately. But I did say that if Brad Holmes does not make a huge move and we see similar things to last year, I think this window is 100% closed.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if he goes and actually fights for an edge rusher, like we're probably seeing Max Crosby leaving Vegas. Like that's a big name. He said that the only other team that he wants to play for is the Lions. If they don't at least try to do something to either reconstruct people's contracts to free up cap space or get rid of some of these guys that you're paying a buttload of money and aren't producing, I would say that this window is closed. No matter what they do this next season, if Brad Holmes does not do what he's supposed to do as the general manager, this window is officially closed.
Yeah, I would honestly say the same thing. I think that the Lions just need way too many pieces, and they already spent a lot of money on this team.
They over
And
they spent over $1 billion this past year
yeah, I think
on
you and I did
extensions.
talk about that. I don't know how much more they can really go out and get with the cap space available to them and the contracts they can give these guys because the
They have
market's.
well over $230 million worth of cap space
Is that
this next
right?
year.
Okay, I did not know that. Wow. So they do have some money to go out and get a pass rusher like Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson at the minimum. They should be able to do that. Maybe if the Lions do go out and get an additional piece, I know they need some corner help too. They got, I think healthy is also a part of it too, but I think the Lions are
Don't even get me
definitely.
started on that.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I think the Lions definitely have a lot of pieces. I think we both can see David Montgomery. He might be gone next season, it looks like.
Yeah,
So we'll see what the Lions do.
I did see a couple of names floating around for people that the Lions might try to get. Rashad White,
Yeah,
Tyler Algier,
yeah,
and there's another guy. I'm blanking on the third name, but I
yeah.
saw it today where they're basically essentially the same type of runner as David Montgomery. Rashad White's a little bit different, more of a Jameer Gibbs type of player. But if you're going to have Jameer Gibbs get majority of the carries, you're going to have someone that is willing to take that backdoor seat and be that red zone runner or that third down runner.
I like Tyler Algier. I mean, he's a perfect complementary piece to any running back, in my opinion. He's not a bad running back either, but he's definitely that third and short, second and range. He's definitely a good serviceable
He
running
is
back.
younger than he
Right,
is younger than Montgomery too.
right, exactly. So we'll see what the Lions do. Definitely we'll be talking about them all off season. Now that's the off season for them. It's also the off season for this next team, and they have a lot of problems too, Nick. The team that beat the Lions, actually, the
Yep.
Minnesota Vikings. That team has a lot of decisions to be made from coaches to quarterback to free agent signings. I don't know what direction they're going to go in.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. Seeing that going even back to our predictions for this season, it is nowhere near where we thought it was going to be, besides for the Packers being in second place. But it is completely different. And seeing how the Vikings are with JJ McCarthy, I can see him being gone. I don't see them moving forward with him. Now, this next draft class is a very heavy quarterback class. I can see them drafting a quarterback in at least the first 2 rounds to take over and get rid of JJ McCarthy because he is one, injury prone, and two, not very solid at quarterback. You see the games where he's healthy and he's throwing interceptions, he's throwing it way over JJ or Justin Jefferson's head, not hitting his receivers in stride when they're running slant routes or go routes. You don't really see that out of JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I was going to mention too. I don't know if they'll necessarily get rid of JJ McCarthy like that and draft a quarterback because they're also, like I said, they're just not a team that's necessarily in a full rebuild. But I believe they might go out and grab a veteran QB who's at least still competitive, and they will make JJ McCarthy earn that spot. Just because he's a first round draft pick, they will not give it to him, I don't think, especially with his performance this past season. So maybe a guy like familiar face Kirk Cousins. He's still on the block, he's still competitive. Now, will it be him exactly? I don't think so. However, somebody of that caliber who's still a veteran, maybe on the older side, but still competitive. There's a ton of quarterbacks going around, so we'll see what happens. There's a ton of quarterbacks maybe changing up. So we'll definitely see what happens. I'm intrigued on that topic, what they'll do for the Vikings at quarterback, because it's a disaster. But also, the team, or not the team, the defense, the Minnesota Vikings defense, the one thing about them that's actually really good, but their defensive coordinator's up on contract. So they could be losing
Yep.
Brian Flores. So that's another interesting part.
Now, I did see this, and I know this is not realistic at all, but I saw a picture where they had a potential coaching staff for the Lions, being head coach Dan Campbell, offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, and defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Now, I know that's not realistic, but how cool would that be?
Good, Nick. It'd be really good. And the Lions need all of that because
Yeah.
offense and defense are both problems that would probably solve their problems if I'm being realistic.
Yeah, and in terms of people that are available right now, we'll get into it in a later video, but there are a lot of people available that Minnesota can scoop up as their defensive coordinator. Now, would they be as good as Brian Flores has been for the last couple of years? That's up to determination and how they would actually perform in Minnesota. But there are some really good candidates that can step into that role. And you do have the veteran leadership in terms of players on that defense. Now, who knows what the future holds for Harrison Smith? Who really knows if he's retiring after this year? There's been talks about potential him wanting out of Minnesota or even retiring. So it'd be interesting to see how that Minnesota defense and their coordinator really come to fruition because, as you mentioned, Brian Flores, one, up on contract, and two, he is going to be one of those people that would be getting interviews for head coaching jobs.
Yeah, and the other thing quickly is, can Kevin O'Connell really have another year like this? I know it's only been 4 seasons that he's been with the Vikings, but throughout the seasons, it's been what, one Mickey year with Sam Darnold, and the other years have been, for other words, lackluster.
His first year, they won the division. Am I correct on that? I'm pretty sure that was his first year they won the division.
See that? Probably. I'm gonna see myself.
Because the Lions won back to
Oh yeah,
back,
and it's pretty high. 13
and
and
then it was
4.
the
Yeah,
Bears.
wow.
Yeah, so you have
So
two
two, well,
seasons and two really bad seasons. I wouldn't really say this is a really bad season. You went 9-8, but the year before that they went bad was what, 3 and 12
yeah,
or
4 and
something like
13 or
that.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Minnesota though, I thought they were like a team that they have expectations, but they also, I don't know how to describe. I actually don't know how to describe them. They have expectations,
I
but they don't
think
spend the money.
I
So
think it really is the fact that they have a guy like Justin Jefferson
yeah,
and the fact that Kevin O'Connell was able to turn Sam Darnold's
right,
career
right.
around that you can maybe see him coming back. So after we saw Justin Jefferson throwing his helmet and kind of being that diva, I don't really see that Kevin O'Connell was really a coach to him. He was just letting him do his thing. So that could be another question mark. And the fact that they did this experiment with JJ McCarthy and that not panning out, I could see him potentially leaving, but having won the division a couple years ago and having that great season, in 2024, 2025 with Sam Darnold, I can see them maybe keeping him and letting him do one more year.
It's a super interesting experiment over in Minnesota. I honestly don't know what they're going to do, but I'm sure more reports will come out. And like you said, we'll do a future video of the offseason. But Nick, time to talk about the big monster that happened Saturday night. Probably one of the biggest chokes in playoff history. My Green Bay Packers. Ooh,
Not the biggest joke.
one
Not
of
the
them.
biggest joke in
Not the big.
playoff history.
One of them. It has
The
to be.
second in Matt LaFleur's career.
Yeah, it's brutal. The Green Bay Packers losing to the Chicago Bears. Oh man, where do I begin? I will quickly say the short that I made about Trayvon Diggs, I was completely wrong. I thought he would come in and actually have a bigger role and make an impact. No, he played one snap in that game and he was a liability. So I was wrong. I will admit that. Now, to talk about the actual game, and then we'll talk about the off, the not in the game, the team stuff, the team drama. In the game,
Okay.
I told everybody going into this game that this was a great matchup for the Green Bay Packers because the first half was exactly like I predicted. The Packers were going to dominate the Chicago Bears. I liked their odds. I liked the first two times the Packers were in control. I thought the Packers would also play the second half that way. At halftime, my roommate said, "Oh yeah, the Packers are fine." I said, "No, we get the ball at half. They have to go down there and score 3 points, if not seven." They stalled out, and the offense did that four more times. I knew as soon as they stalled out, it was problematic because we started going back to the first down run handoffs, and the Bears made adjustments, sniffed it out. Packers had no answers. So when you have the ball for 3 minutes and two possessions, that's no time. Your defense is going to get slow, tired, gassed, and that they did. Was I surprised about the comeback? No, but it was numbing. It was mind numbing. It was honestly shocking that this actually happened, that the Packers only put up 6 points, and our kicker, 4 points left on the board, and you lose by four. Missed the field goal before halftime, and you missed the extra point. McManus cannot be the kicker going forward.
Yeah, it's just a bit outside. I had to do that. I had to do that
Oh man.
because, like you said, Brandon McManus left 4 points on the board. Now, I was actually with some friends while watching this game, and one of my buddies was like, "Oh, like the Bears have come back before," and I was like, "It's 21-3. I don't really see it happening, but it could happen." You asked me a couple weeks ago, who do I think would win if these teams match up again? And I was torn. I said it would rely on the health of these guys. And obviously, Jordan Love coming off of concussion protocol. And he had a solid game. He went 24 for 46, 323 for four touchdowns. The completion percentage was a little bit lower than I know you would have wanted and a lot of Packers fans would have wanted. But that 323 yards and four touchdowns kept them in the game because the run game for the Packers was abysmal. Abysmal.
In the second half, yeah.
Their leading rusher, Josh Jacobs, 19 carries for 55 yards. And the Packers won the turnover battle.
Right.
You got that going for you.
Explain to me. The Packers get two interceptions, stop the Bears four times. 2 for 6 on fourth downs, the Bears went. So you got six turnovers. And you lose? At the end of the game, don't get me wrong, Love drove down the field and Jaden Reed had a critical drop. Watson had I don't know if the ball was catchable, but it was a tough catch, but Watson could have caught that. It would have been a touchdown, but he missed it. Just critical plays that just you got to make. You've got to convert, you've got to execute, and credit to the Bears. I know there's two teams on the field, but once again the Packers managed to choke a game in which that it was so hard not to. They refuse to put teams away. And Nick, this whole season, the theme that I kept on coming on here and talking about was refusing to put teams away. And we had Caleb Williams in the first half at 48% completion rate. He was
Mhm.
so off. He was lost out there. And he comes out in the second half, makes a great fourth down throw to I think Roma Dunze down the sideline, which was crazy, and just some other Mickey stuff that just went their way, and it makes you sick because as a Packers fan, it's not we really got mauled out there. The Bears just outplayed us and outskilled us. It was where did our play calls go? Because Matt LaFleur stepped away from play action, which was working all of first half. The second half was stagnant. Jordan Love looked so frantic out there. It was like, who? This is a different quarterback. Why did Matt LaFleur step away from the play action? I have no idea. And the defense, they played their ass off. I know they gave up 25 points in the fourth quarter, but in the third quarter, where the offense stalls out 3 times, you give up 3 points. But then obviously 25 points in the fourth, it's just because of your offense. And it just leaves you with the taste after the game that just, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Yeah, I was close to wearing my Green Bay Sucks hoodie,
Rightfully.
but I know you would have probably been like, at least the Packers made the playoffs.
No, man.
But
At that rate, the Packers are going to close the game out. It's nothing that the
yeah,
Bears did that just blew me away. The Packers had them dead to rights. It's just the Green Bay Packers refuse to put teams away, and Matt LaFleur, great of a coach he is, I'll get into him in a second. He just went into a shell.
yeah, because I know you just said you'll get into Matt LaFleur, but I want to ask you because all season long we were talking about the play calling. Now, the Packers are working on extending a deal for him. And I saw a quoted tweet from you where it said, "There's no one better," right? Now that essentially back to back years, I will say back to back years, the Packers choke a playoff game. Is there some question marks in terms of getting to that next level, whether you have him as the head coach but get rid of him having play calling? Or do you think it might turn into him potentially having that hot seat as a head coach? Because, like I mentioned when we started talking about the Packers in this episode, this isn't the first time that Matt LaFleur has been part of one of the biggest chokes in playoff history. Obviously, he was part of that Falcons staff where they blew a 28-3 lead to New England in the Super Bowl. Do we think going forward that either you give him another year, and if it happens again, he's gone? Or do you think he stays as the head coach and gets rid of the play calling and gives it to an offensive coordinator?
I'm glad you asked this question because I was between like firing or do we re-sign him, and honestly, re-sign him. But here's the reason why. Going back to your original claim about the Packers being a part of the biggest chokes and these just complete collapses, as a head coach, you have to be able to identify patterns, consistencies that why are they happening? And 2020 with Aaron Rodgers against the Niners at home, you had one of the best defenses and you lose to the Niners 10-3 because of a special teams block. And it's just a complete collapse. And you have to ask yourself, why does this keep on happening to the Green Bay Packers? It's no other team in the NFL. It's literally just the Packers. You do have to, as a head coach, he has to identify these problems. Whatever is consistently making them go off, he has to be able to identify that pattern. Now, as you talked about, do you have him as a head coach or do you have him with an OC? I personally think you get rid of Adam Stenovich, the offense coordinator right now, and you do bring in a guy like Mike McDaniel. Now, this could be contradicting because Matt LaFleur is this offensive genius mind, but at the same time, he is so bad at managing clock. He is so bad at challenging timeouts that you question how this guy's a head coach sometimes. And he does, don't get me wrong, have a great offensive mind. He can draw up some great plays. We've seen some creative stuff from him. Having a guy like Mike McDaniel, though, can relieve some of that pressure. And you can bounce off of each other because they're both offensive minds. And I like that combo. I think Matt LaFleur, he's a great coach. I do see the Packers extending him to a little bit longer of a contract, and that's okay with me. I think he is a good coach, but there are some things that the Packers can do internally to pick out these or tape the issues. So
Yeah.
I think that the Green Bay Packers should go get an OC, a legitimate OC, and yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So
Now, you have some head coaching opportunities, and there are some good names out there for sure. Do we see potentially the Packers go get a new head coach and get Matt LaFleur as an OC?
no, no, I think he's definitely earned rights to being a head coach. He has proven himself as a head coach. Now, I know his playoff record is 3-7. It's not great. And the Packers, with this new rule of the 7 seed, has made it the last 3 years as the 7 seed. I know it's not great. I know they haven't won the division since I think it was 2019,
Yeah,
2019,
2019.
and everybody else has won it more than once, if not once. So there are some questions to be raised, but I definitely do think Matt LaFleur will be the head coach of the Green Bay Packers for a little bit longer here. Now, the flip side to this is who's the defensive coordinator? Because looks like Jeff Hafley's gone. But I'm not confirming it, but it does look like he's getting a lot of head coaching opportunities, and it would be interesting to see because this Packer defense went from being mediocre to being really good this year, and even with the injuries, and Jeff Hafley did a great job. So that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, I do think that there are some good people that are having their name out there right now in terms of being the defensive coordinator for the Packers and even offensive coordinator. But let's talk about the Bears real quick as well. Because I know I said a couple of times that they are the most fraudulent division winner that there is. Maybe besides for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Because the Panthers 8-9 to finish the season and won the division. But the Bears have had these, let's call them miracle wins. I don't think they've led in the first half at all this season.
Nick, does this remind you of a certain football team just a couple years ago in our division? Huh. I will say Sam Darnold's definitely better than I don't right now. Sam Darnold's still better than Caleb Williams. You're
Yes.
not going to win with a guy who's throwing 58%. It's just not going to happen. I wanted the Packers to expose that, and they did for the first half, but they just couldn't get the job done. But yeah, I do think the Bears are lucky, and it's just their year. I will think that luck will come to an end pretty soon here. But yeah, it is a magical run. It really is. You can't make it up.
Yeah, and I want to mention one thing because this is something that I said during the offseason that I can't wait to beat Ben Johnson twice a season. And the Lions did that. They beat them twice.
Yeah.
Packers had their one jab at them, and I don't think the Vikings didn't beat them at all this season.
No. No, they did week one.
So week one,
Yeah.
okay. So each team had their jab at them, but I do want to say, do we see their call it momentum, right? Going into this next game against the LA Rams. Because I saw something, it's very funny. There's only one man that can stop the Chicago Bears, and that is former Detroit Lion quarterback Matthew Stafford.
Listen, the Chicago Bears defense, there's a lot of problems. They have no pass rush. None. The 49ers game,
They lead the league in turnovers.
forget that stat because you know why? If they don't get a turnover, they're not doing anything, which was literally shown in that Packers game. They have no pass
Hmm.
rush, which means their secondary is going to get cooked. And that 49ers game was a prime example of that. Now, I know offenses went crazy, but that defense is not good. And it was literally on display, that Sunday night game. They will be exposed, I believe, with the Rams, with Matthew Stafford, who's experienced in playoff games, who has played in the cold, so that's not a factor. So I think the Rams will definitely come into Chicago, and I think they'll win this game. I think it'll be a good game still, but I think it'll be a 10-point game, at least Rams favored. Or not favored, but win by.
Yeah, I will say Matthew Stafford, front runner for MVP. Maybe second because he did have that 4 interception game. But I will say that this Rams offense is very explosive. You have players like Puka Nakua, and then in the run game, you have Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. And it's going to be a tough game for sure. Stafford is used to playing in the cold, as you mentioned, having been in that division and played at feels like Lambeau and Soldier Field. But you have Sean McVay versus Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson has beaten in the playoffs Sean McVay and the Rams, obviously 2 years ago now. Do we see the fact that the Rams are this good again this year? Do we see potential that they put up a 40 bomb on these guys?
No, I don't think so. I think the weather's definitely going to play a factor. But I do see this game. The Rams didn't necessarily close out the Panthers all that easy, so it makes me have some
True.
drawbacks. I thought the Rams secondary and this defensive line was top tier, but I don't know what's happened these recent weeks. It's fallen off. But I do like their offense. I do like their offense a lot more than the Bears at the moment. Just the quarterback position. That and I like that duo of
Yeah.
McVay and Stafford. Now I do like Ben Johnson, great play caller, but he doesn't have the quarterback to necessarily execute consistently. And I like Matthew Stafford in the clutch factor to be able to go down and execute. And McVay's just a great coach. I like that Rams team. I do like Nakua, Adams, Kyron Williams. The Bears are a good team, but I think Caleb Williams will be the downfall when they lose.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And a little bit of a score prediction. I will say it's probably going to be, let's go 35 to 21.
I'm going to say the Rams win it 34, Bears 23, 23 to 26. 26. We'll say 26. Before Nick, I want to talk about one more quick little thing because this is a hot
Yeah.
topic. Ben Johnson's conference on F the Packers and the heated rivalry. I like it just for the fact of this is
Mm.
a rivalry and it is we hate these teams. The other thing that's going around Twitter, I'm not sure if you've seen, but the handshake. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm interested on your quick comments and thoughts on that because a lot of Packers fans take it personally as like, come on, at least have some decency to shake hands properly. And it is a game at the end of the day, and these guys go out there and battle. But I'm not salty about it. I'm not soft. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are, especially with Ben Johnson being a part of the Detroit Lions
He's not part of the Detroit Lions anymore.
when he was. Yeah,
To quote him, but this is a PG show. Screw Ben Johnson and screw the Bears.
yeah,
But in terms of the handshake, you could be excited on the sideline. As soon as it comes down to the handshake, you got to be a good sportsman. If you're not a good sportsman, it's a huge bad look on you. Matt LaFleur is one of those guys that is a good sportsman. He will go and shake your hand when he wins, when he loses, doesn't matter. Dan Campbell, same thing. Kevin O'Connell, same thing. Ben Johnson, I don't know where you got the balls to essentially act like you own this division. Yeah, you won the division, but you're a fraud. The Rams are going to expose that, And Sean McVay is going to pull a Ben Johnson on you and go like this and then go like this when walking past you, because he is going to expose how bad of a fraud you are.
I think,
And you got to be a sportsman when it comes down to those handshakes. Like I said,
yeah,
like you see it in every sport.
yeah, I think you and I both have some deep hatred here, a little bias, but yeah, all in all, I think when it comes to the game,
It's not bias. It's not bias. It's the fact that you got to be a sportsman.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
to shake hands no matter what. We see it in hockey. We see it in basketball. We see it in, you don't really see it in baseball because the team just celebrates with themselves, but you see it in every other sport.
yeah. I don't really have a opinion necessarily on it. I think he definitely should have went out there and did a proper handshake, and then you can go celebrate with the team and say what you want in the locker room. Because at the end of the day, it's if the Packers beat the Bears, they're doing the same thing. But yeah, I just thought that was improper, and I definitely thought that the ego. I understand he is a great offense. He's a great play caller, and he's done some great things for the Bears,
Mhm.
turn the franchise around so far this year. But that will come next year. I'm saying it right now. Next year will be a different year for the Chicago Bears, but there's a lot of football to be talked about still this season. And really quick, I'm going to announce this coming week, Saturday, we are doing a live stream for the NFL playoff games. The Rams and Bears on Sunday nights, and then the 49ers and Seahawks on Saturday night. So that'll be exciting. Come hang out, come watch, come comment, talk with us. We are open, going to be there watching the game, doing a play by play, and we'll be talking ball. So,
For sure. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. It was a little bit of a longer one as there was a lot to talk about. And let's see how far the Bears can go. We're going to keep pumping out episodes, even if the Bears lose this week. We'll be pumping episodes up through the Super Bowl and into the off season. But as always, make sure to go follow us on all platforms: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify. Go subscribe to our YouTube. Go follow our Twitter at Gridiron Pod NFL, where we will be posting multiple different things about the NFL and more shorts to come. I will be recording a short and posting it in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more NFL content every single week coming to you from Mike and I. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next one.